Hello there. Today begins our invasion of Europe here in Elysium. Before we do anything, we're going to rekindle the invasion effort. This will give us access to some new abilities. It's going to cost one stab and a few other things, but we'll do it anyway. We can now complete this mission up here. Assemble the invasion force. It makes our navy move a little faster. It also increases the amount of manpower we get from docks and increases the amount of sailors we get from barracks. How curious. We can now begin our invasion effort. This gives us the invasion CB against countries that control Greek or Roman provinces. Unfortunately, we don't really plan to attack the Ottomans yet. As we discussed, our first goal will be England. We want to gain a foothold in the region, and England is going to be that foothold. Our navy's in position, although they need to repair a bit. I guess let's wait a month. It's only going to be a day, actually. There, now we're going to declare war. What we're going to do is we're going to invade, occupy Man, and from there we're going to use that as a staging ground to recruit a bunch of mercs and occupy Ulster and try and cut off Ireland from the rest of the UK. Once we do that, we can bring over our large armies to Ulster and Ireland and then just cross over into mainland Britain, or at least that's the plan. Britain does have 500k soldiers. I'm hoping a lot of them aren't in Britain. They could be in Portugal, they could be in the Maghreb, they could be in their lands down in South America. There was quite a few, I mean, you can see quite a few of them here. There's also the actual South America as opposed to Africa, what I meant to talk about. So the hope is that the British are just a little further afield, and if they are anywhere, hopefully they're not in Ireland. Although if they are, you know, we'll just have to deal with that. So we're going to declare war. We could call people in. Is there anyone we want to call in though? I don't think so. I guess we could call in people like Kong and Joloff. They at least could distract them maybe in South America here. Not South anything, just Central America. Hopefully our new Vinlander colonies can help deal with them here in South America. We'll have to see though. This is, as usual, really just a distraction. We'll see how Vinland does as well, now that they're on side. So let's just declare war. We'll take our armies over. We'll also do a triumph while we're here as well, which increases shock damage and movement speed for 2 years. We can see that there's quite a few of them here in Ireland, 46,000. Although it looks like they're moving their main army back on over to the mainland. That could work to our advantage. If they abandon Ireland, we could just jump in and take it, although it looks like they've still got quite a few hanging around over here. Now we're going to split off our transports. I guess we'll send the light ships too. We're going to send them back to pick up more soldiers from Iceland. I'm hoping the 6,000 men I plan to bring are enough. If not, we can always just pull more soldiers from our mainland. So we'll bring them over. We're now going to land in Ulster. The hope is we can occupy it fast enough that the British in the mainland won't be able to respond. And we can bring enough men over. It looks like it's not quite going to work. They're going to ambush us in Ulster before we can even take the province, I think. Oh well, we'll just retreat back onto our ships for the moment. You know, I really should have made Marines instead of normal soldiers because of how fast they can disembark. That would have been the really smart thing to do. And I suppose I could still do it, but they've got a lot of boys over here at the moment. What we could do is try and bait them out by landing in the mainland Britain. Since they've got quite a lot of soldiers over here in Ireland, if we land somewhere in England proper, it may encourage them to move their army back over to the other side, just as they did when we landed in Ireland. Doesn't look like we could dislodge this 25,000 here in Ireland. That's too bad. With that in mind, we're going to transition to another strategy. We're going to build up a lot of transports and focus on just overwhelming the British by landing so many troops all at once. It's going to take a little while to make those transports. In the meantime, we'll focus on carrying out the war elsewhere. We'd love to knock out Congo, as we don't really like them serving the British as they are currently. Britain is sending quite a few of its men over to South America, which could work to our advantage if they just abandon the defense of their island. I don't think they're going to fully do so though. Let's see if we can't annihilate the British soldiers that are here in Africa. One method would be to just march north from here and start occupying their land in the Maghreb. It would help us rack up war score and might pull some of their soldiers that are defending Britain over. We've actually managed to pacify Spartania a lot. We just need to pass them in army tradition. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to though. They're at 61, which is of course quite a lot, while we're only at 45. We may just have to hold out for a random event that pushes them down, or a random event that pushes us up. Or we could just throw our armies away against the British in order to rack up that army tradition. That could also work. If we can make it onto mainland Britain and actually start sieging down those expensive forts, that would also help us gain quite a lot of army tradition. We'll have to see how things go. But it'd be definitely nice if we could pull them into this war. Might be a little bit too much to ask, but it'd be kind of funny if Spartania joined halfway through or so. They could definitely help us with the fighting in South America. Alright, Congo's had enough. We're going to bully them a bit and have them release some land as independent. That might be enough for us to push them to the point where they'd willingly accept becoming our protectorate. Not sure though. We'd definitely be able to protectorate these countries we just forcibly released though. Although we can't do it right now because we're at war. Once the war ends, we'll protectorate them. Oh, it looks like Spartania's had a negative event. I wasn't really paying attention, I just noticed the event popped up. Well, the decision, but we can now pacify them. Well, that was easy. They'll immediately join our war with the British. British have pretty much won in South America, so our new friends should sweep south and just destroy them. I would have said with that done we can complete this mission, expanding south, but this tiny, tiny little nation exists that we need to conquer. But we're not in a rush to do that. It's not like we could finish the green mission tree just from doing that. We do still need to dev a bunch of provinces. So since we're not in a rush, we won't rush. Likely what we'll do now that we have Spartania on our side is we'll declare war on all of these little nations and just let their massive army clean them up for us. Oh, how curious. It looks like the Ottoman just fell to the revolution. That's not really what I was expecting. I was thinking decadence would get them, but we now have revolutionary Turkey in the world. It's as if the Ottomans are trying to build themselves up so they can become the final boss, which they always really were. I suppose we'll see how it goes with them. Once we've gained a foothold in Europe, we should just be able to bring over enough soldiers to really drown the Ottomans. Right, when it comes to navies, I think we have enough that I'm going to try another naval landing. We should be able to land 150 regiments in Britain. It's just a case of bringing them all together. Let's try to land somewhere where there aren't any enemies. We'll target the Pale, I think. We'll see if we can't just land there, occupy it. They are going to try and stop us. We'll have to see how much success they have. Well, no, they're not. No, now they are trying to stop us. No, now they're not. They can't decide. I'm not surprised. I would also be hesitant. Looks like they are. Yeah, they're going to move 200,000 men into the province to stop us. 2 of our regiments were immediately stack wiped as they landed. Not unsurprising. This is basically their whole army, isn't it? If we bring over another unit and occupy Scotland, oh, I don't think it's going to quite work. They're going to finish the fight before we could move in. That could have gone really well for us, though. It might still, if it takes them too long to move their armies over. We're going to now. There's no way. We'll arrive on February. If I was smarter, I would have made some mariners. That could have worked really well if I had been thinking of it. We could have just trapped all of them in Ireland. How devilish. Let's make 30 regiments of mariners. We'll see about using them to carry out that tactic that almost worked. We'll need to send a few ships back to pick them up. Alright, now let's attempt this again. Let's make sure which one is the army with the mariners. This one. So we're going to leave that one behind. We're going to take the rest, board the ships. There's 150,000 of us, same as last time. We'll land in the Pale, same as last time, and see if that doesn't draw them out, just as it did last time. It looks like they're being drawn, though it looks like they've left quite a few units behind. That's unfortunate. We'll see if we just can't take the land and cut them off. We should be able to deal with this small amount of group, especially if we call up mercenaries. We'll fight for as long as we can. We're going to arrive on the 9th. Yep, we've arrived. It's going to take a few days to occupy the province. 24. The question is, can they get back before we occupy them? Oh, these guys are going to attack us. I think we would win this fight. The problem is, of course, that that's going to take too long. Oh, and our mariners decided to retreat into the enemy instead of retreating back onto our boats. So they're all dead. Not unsurprising. I guess we could just keep doing this, and eventually we'll probably win. I'm an idiot, aren't I? I should have landed here in Wales, and then had the mariners land in Ulster. That would have been the smart idea. Then it would have taken too long for the rest of their army to get back to Ireland. That would have worked perfectly, I think. Let's see if we can't carry out that maneuver. Right, let's try that again now that my brain is surely working at a higher capacity. We'll board everybody onto the ships, except for the marine units. They'll stay. Now we'll land as agreed, we'll land in Wales and see if we can't pull over most of their army to try and stop us. You know, they might decide to not stop us. They might decide, you know, there's too many of them, they're too far away, and as such, they might just let us land. If they do, I mean, that kind of works, right? Once we're in, we're in. It looks like we're in. They're not going to try and stop us. Oh well, I guess we didn't need all those tactics. They're just fine with us occupying Wales. But now, we're in. Begin spawning the mercenaries. If we can pull enough of their soldiers down to try and fight our armies that have landed here though, we could cause the same effect. If they abandon Ireland, we could just jump in with our mariners and occupy it. We'll see if we can achieve that though. Looks like they're just going to charge at us with a lot of their soldiers. Looks like all of our mercenaries are going to get stack wiped. That's fine if it works out right. We'll pull back our normal soldiers back onto the ships. Then we'll land on Man. Then we'll get off Man with our mariners. There's currently 23,000 men in England or within Ireland. Can we defeat them is the question, right? We have a morale general. Let's see if our mariners can't defeat them. Looks like they're not even going to try and fight us. That could be perfect. If we can just occupy Ulster now before the rest of their army comes back. I'm not sure we're going to be able to. It's going to be a little close. It's going to be a little close. Ooh. We're going to occupy it in 6 days. These guys are going to arrive on the 7th. I suppose we'll have to see which happens first, the occupation or them landing. And it was them arriving. That's really too bad. We were so close. And our mariners got stack wiped again. That's really annoying. We'll keep trying though. We just need one lucky break, as it were. We're going to hire another 3,000 or 30,000 mariners. I could hire more thinking about it. We could hire like, I don't know, 100,000 if we wanted to get really crazy. I like to have my armies in 30s though. No real reason, I just like having them in 30s, I guess. They round well. Pity about all the mercenaries getting stack wiped, but I mean, you know, they're mercenaries, we're fine with that. In fact, a lot of them replenished immediately because they weren't around long enough to take heavy casualties with their manpower. Just getting stack wiped doesn't count as heavy casualties for mercs, it seems. Right, here we go again. Landing in Wales worked very well last time. It may have been a mistake on my part to move out of Wales and start occupying some of the forts there, which is what drew them over. We'll see what they do this time. I plan to just sit in the province we occupy. We'll once again call in the mercenaries here. We should probably wait a few days for the mercenaries to replenish their morale before we move out, if we move out. It doesn't like they're reacting to us having arrived here. Let's see if we can't draw them in. Let's move in and stack wipe this 30,000 or so on the fort. Ooh, they're bringing in a lot of guys. Could this be it? It's going to be a little close. I actually think they've entirely abandoned Ireland. We just need these guys here to hold out for just a little bit. We're going to arrive on the 12th of September. Yep, we've landed. Perfect. We'll abandon the fight here with our main army so they don't get stack wiped. Let the mercenaries keep fighting and dying. Not our problem. We've done it. We've taken Ulster. We've cut off Britain from Ireland. Now that we've taken Ulster, we can think about transporting our very large armies over to Ireland with the territory secure. We do need to make sure that we leave a fleet in place to ensure no one can get through. But we can now begin pulling more of our armies away from Elysium, especially now that the Spartanians are on our side. We really don't need to worry about protecting Elysium from foreign invasion, as there's no real foreigners left to invade, right? And pretty much everyone in the region is on our side now. Once we've brought over enough of our boys, we can think about crossing back over to the mainland and fighting the British army directly. Oh, and England just had the English Civil War trigger, so I guess they'll have some rebels to deal with too. I doubt they'll be able to really put a dent in the strength of England though. Although England has run out of manpower now, this could be our chance. Let's call up a bunch of mercenaries as usual. We'll have them cross and start occupying Britain proper. Then we'll think about bringing more of our actual armies over afterwards. The war goal is just to occupy London, so if we can get down and do that, everything will be great. Before we do anything there, let's tech up and get this next mill tech. It's going to give us more morale, new units, and more combat width. There's a parliamentary issue. Is there one that will strengthen our military? I guess we could go for this one that decreases army tradition decay. but I'm not sure I really care about that. I'd rather go for that. Well, I'd say I would rather go for that point of stability, but we're already maxed on stability, so maybe that was a waste of time. Ah well. We're also going to upgrade to the next tier of inventory. We'll need to wait a little bit though for our morale to replenish before we go on the offense now that we've done that though. But we can afford to wait a little bit. Unlike the British, we're not out of manpower, though we are out of sailors. I can probably decommission a lot of these transport fleets I was making, since we have actually got all of our soldiers over to Britain now. Looks like the British are calling in their own mercenaries there to try and level the playing field. This might just come down to a very large fight. Let's siege down this last fort that's controlled by the British in Ireland, and then we'll think about crossing the dreaded bridge. We'll send the mercenaries over to make contact. Bringing everyone together for a large fight may be fairly difficult, just because we would need to get everyone into a single province. To be fair, they need to do the same thing though. Let's try and defeat this army here that's on this fort. If we could take this fort, we would have access to the interior of Britain, although there are more forts blocking, I suppose. These forts don't seem to be very strong, or at least we're sieging them down pretty quickly. Let's actually use our cannons on it and see if we can't get down even faster. Yep, fort taken. We do have this 84,000 sharking around though. We're still somewhat boxed in by forts though. Should we try? We can't actually reach this enemy. What if we leave the fort? They may try and retake it. Let's send our mercenaries to go and siege this fort up here. Just as a distraction. No, it doesn't look like they're... They are trying to take the fort. They've brought 200k, pretty much the whole army over. Let's just bring ourselves in and try and throw ourselves against them. As long as they don't take the fort before our troops arrive, we're going to head in piecemeal, but I'd rather head in piecemeal than miss my chance. We could also gather some of the boys onto the ship and just have them arrive immediately, essentially. Let's land. I think we may have deterred them from reinforcing their soldiers. Yeah, they fell back. Unfortunately, I kind of wanted that battle to last longer so that we could do big damage to them. I think maybe we should just charge. Keep our armies together in large stacks so that they can reinforce each other. Let's see if we can break them here. We just need to take the forts and then we can go wherever we like, essentially, within Britain. To be fair, these forts are quite tough, so it's going to take a little while to siege them down. For some reason, this fort was only a level 2 one, but these ones further in are much stronger, level 8. Alright, we've broken through that Northumbrian fort. Should we just charge in on them? We'd like to fight somewhere where we're going to have an advantage, or at least they're not going to have too much of an advantage. Where's the next forts? The next forts are down in Coventry and Bradfordshire. We could also... No, we can't reach the Welsh fort from here, but we could go by sea. Our manpower's starting to fall behind, though. They still have none, though, which puts us in a better position than them when it comes to manpower. Let's see if we can't bait them out. I was thinking we would pass down this way and potentially avoid them, but it looks like they've moved an army and they don't have a general though. Maybe we could jump them. Well, we jumped a bit of them. Let's jump this next, let's just keep going. Jump this next stack. Can we stack wipe them? Yep, perfect. They're moving back for those forts. This could be excellent if we trap them, or not necessarily trap them, but if we attack them while they're attacking these forts, we'll fight with the advantage. Let's go for the guys that are attacking this fort. Good win. Let's go for the guys that are on the next fort. Another good win. Let's go for the guys who are now once again going for that other fort. This is more of an army though. Looks like it's going to be an easy win for us though, yep. They've got a lot of troops moving to the other fort. Let's see if we can't nab them. This is more of a battle. We might not win here just because our morale hasn't quite recovered from the jumping between the fights. No, it looks like we're going to get pushed back. That's fine though, we'll get pushed back. We killed more than we lost, and we did a lot of damage to them jumping between those fights. And we're back. We could just jump them now, but our morale hasn't quite recovered to its max. Question is, are they going to take the fort before the month ticks? They may do. What we're going to do is I think we're going to come down and hit the group that is on the other fort. They don't have a general. Ooh, actually our mercenaries just completed the siege here up in Scotland, so maybe we'll bring the mercenaries down, we'll bring our main armies to the fight. We should be able to beat them, yep. There's not much they can do against 400k. Then we'll swoop onto the guys that are on the other fort sieging. Although, they're going to throw a lot of them at us here, and we're fighting on a great position. Probably a mistake to fight here. I didn't really intend to, I should have gone that way, I was just playing too quickly, I suppose. Let's pull back. Pull back to Ulster. We can afford to just pull back a little. It's not the end of the world. Although we can't afford our armies to retreat into the enemy, that's not good. Looks like we can escape though. Alright, try this again. Push them back, go for the guys that are on the Northumbrian fort. Push them back. We need to let our morale replenish before we take another fight now. We are running out of manpower though. I think it's time that we start calling up our own mercenaries. We've only had a few that I called up. Problem is a lot of these are going to take a very long time to appear because these are mercenaries from Native America. We do need to take a province in Europe so that we can gain access to European mercenaries. For now, I think we're going to push on and siege one of their forts to bring us close to London. We'll send the mercenaries to do it and then we'll follow behind with our main army and see if we can't discourage the English or the British from attempting to break out, as it were. There, we've sieged down Bradfordshire. Now we just need to get to London. It shouldn't be too hard as long as the British don't decide, to go on the offensive. We'll just move this army up to London. It's going to take a while to siege, but we have nothing but time, right? Let's start thinking about what we want from the war. We of course want to absolutely destroy Britain. We could take something like this. Most of the southern coast, including London. I do regret not grabbing diplomatic ideas earlier, because we could really reduce the cost of taking land through that 20% province war score cost. We could hypothetically grab it now. We could tech up, grab our next idea group, and try and reach that point, but I don't think we'll be able to reach it fast enough. We could, hypothetically, I guess, drop influence ideas and hope that the refund would be enough to get there, but it almost definitely wouldn't be. But if we take London, Britain will definitely be weakened considerably. Maybe if we just take the London area, and then we could take some land in Portugal that we could use as a stepping stone for a war with Castile, or Spain I should say. Castile got annihilated, didn't they? Let's first take London, that's always important to do. London has fallen, excellent. Unfortunately the English aren't willing to give up land in Portugal because we haven't occupied a fort there, that's an annoyance. I guess we'll just take lots of land in Britain then, that'll show them. I guess we could have them concede some colonial areas to us, but I kind of prefer leaving them with this land because it means we can occupy it in future wars. Now let's see if we can convince them to accept peace on our terms. We're going to go around stack wiping their armies, if possible, and siege down what's left of their country. It might be better for me to just take a lesser peace here instead of continuing the conflict. But I'd like to do as much damage to Britain as we can, so that we don't have to come back and fight a war of the same level again. One thing is, as I mentioned, we've gone through the diplomatic ideas. We're very close. We just need around 400 dip to get the province war score cost minus 20. It's possible we'll reach that before we're ready to make peace. Then we can demand even more land. We do have Scottish rebels appearing in the north. We'll try not to fight them. It'd be nice if they were successful and gave Scotland independence, because then we could just jump it. It's pretty much impossible though. Since the war here is largely over, we're going to begin declaring war on the small nations in Elysium. Our allies and vassals there should be able to just fight all of them and conquer them on our behalf pretty easily. We defeated the small tiny nation that was occupying land here in Mexico. Now we can finish this mission. This gives us permanent claims on all of Elysium, as well as giving us the Unite the Promised Land CB against any nation on Elysium. The Unite the Promised Land CB is actually better than the Imperialism CB, allowing us to take more land at less cost, though I suppose it does increase aggressive expansion more than the Imperialism CB. But either way, we'll use this to conquer most of the nations here. We're just waiting a few months until we can grab the flexible negotiations, and then we'll make peace with Britain, I think. The entire island is largely under our control. Once we take the fort here, we'll be able to destroy the last of their troops that are hiding here in Britain. And there they go. We'll destroy these guys. Now we'll just siege down the last locations that they control here. We're getting cool for peace now, but we're almost there. Just 1 month or so and we can get flexible negotiations. There we go, flexible negotiations got. Let's make peace. We'll take the entirety of southern England. We'll take Malta as well. It's really too bad we can't get anywhere in Spain or in the Maghreb. I guess we could just transport people over and take it, but, I think I'd just rather make peace now. So we'll do just that. Huzzah, we now control London. Elysium has crossed that bridge into Europe. So we could release an exarchate here in London. They would actually be quite strong from controlling London itself. And honestly, that appeals to me quite a bit. If we came to a war with Britain, we could just take a province off them use that to call in mercenaries. In fact, I just noticed Vinland controls Amsterdam. Not sure how they got it, but if we demand that off them, that would be a great staging ground for the invasion of Europe. Can we take it? Yeah, we can take it. We'll seize Amsterdam. Controlling Amsterdam gives us access to a few European mercenary bands, specifically the Flemish Company. Also gives us a border with Austria. Austria is currently at war with Saxony. They're actually out of manpower. Although Austria is allied with Britain and Spain right now. Actually, I was going to say, is Austria willing to defend Spain? But they still are. That's too bad. But Spain is also tapped on manpower. The Ottomans are now alone. I don't think we'll engage. I mean, we could fight them in Asia, I guess. Should we really do it? I mean, our manpower's pretty tapped. It's going to replenish quite quickly, though, at 5,000 a month. Well, first of all, let's release our territory here in England as the Exarchate of Anglia. They should make better use of the land than we will, at least in both the short and long term. I'm actually thinking maybe we should go to war with France. France is no longer allied with the Ottomans like they were before. The Ottomans no longer have any friends. France is only allied with Hungary, Switzerland, Naples. Spain is the defender of the faith, but they hate France, so they won't help. France has 300,000 though. The real problem will be, as always, getting there. We do have England, obviously, so just nipping across the channel is a bit easier, but it's still not a trivial matter even. Thing is, though, France has a lot of manpower still. I want to attack somebody, though. It's just my internal urge to attack people. Can't be contained. We're going to let our manpower replenish a bit before we go on another war, or at least before we go on a war with Europeans. We could very much still just crack down on the Native Americans here in Elysium. In fact, let's start doing just that. As I mentioned, our allies should be able to just win this war even if we don't contribute, and it will give us the opportunity to build up some manpower for our next conflict with the Europeans. There's our first war, quick and easy, we'll full annex them. They actually refused. I guess they must have flipped over into not accepting. The time it took me to say, there we go. Not a big deal though, they'll probably just flip back, which it looks like they've done so. Is this going to anger anybody? Not really. I mean, it'll make up Britain angry, but do we care about them? I don't think so. Ooh, France and Great Britain have gone to war. France has attacked the Congo, which has drawn them into war with Britain. This could be excellent. Our truce with Britain doesn't end for a while though, so we won't be able to jump them. But we could definitely attack France. I think we'll wait for them to end their war. That way France will make peace when they're at their weakest, and then we'll jump them. Although I've just noted the date, it's 1737, so we'd have about 100 years before the game ends. With that in mind, maybe we should stop playing around. We're going to begin transporting our army to Asia in preparations to declare war on the Ottomans. Alright, we're in position, so let's begin. We're going to declare an invasion CB against the Ottomans. This one specifically allows us to take their Greek territory they control. If we also occupy Constantinople during this battle, I believe we'll get an event that just gives us control of it as a core. This is going to be quite a major conflict though. They have 700,000 men, we don't have that many. But we can always call up mercenaries as we take land, or occupy land I should say. We're also going to call in basically everyone we can to help out. For some reason Austria actually allied with us, so we could also call them in. Austria's not that strong though, only 200k, but they might provide a good distraction for us. I doubt they'll do much else. Hopefully nations like Spartania in America are smart about transporting their army over. Our army plus theirs should easily just destroy the Ottomans. It's whether they will, right? They surely will, because there's nothing for them to occupy in America, so they should just leave and come over here to help out. I'm kind of confident we can win even without them though. Only kind of confident. I mean, it's almost impossible for us to lose because it's not like the Ottomans can occupy our territory. Alright, let's do it. There's a lot of us. Surely the Ottomans can't win. So the first order of business is going to be breaking through. There's quite a few forts that we're going to need to get to Constantinople. We could always just navally invade, and we may do that if we do enough damage to the Ottomans that I can safely transport an army over without them all just immediately getting swarmed and massacred. Unfortunately, this is a show superiority war, so if our vassals just go off and get killed in battles, that's going to work against us. Hopefully we can overcome that though. In this war, we can only take Greek cultured provinces. So if we look at what we could take, this would be the maximum. I'm not including Constantinople because, as I said, it's going to be given to us. But this would liberate all Greek-speaking locations the Ottomans control. The Ottomans have also just declared themselves the military hegemony. They're probably right to. If anyone in the game is a military hegemony outside of me, it's probably them. We finally broke through this siege, now into the interior. Instead of going through the massive line of forts here, we're going to cross the Sea of Hormuz, a rather topical province, I guess, and then we'll go on the offence that way through Arabia. The Ottomans have actually left their forts here in pretty much disrepair, only at level 1 or 2, so we should be able to just swarm all over them and take them fairly quickly. Oh, it looks like one of our allies actually occupied Constantinople for us. Must have been the Austrians, though. It looks like they've been beaten back now. We can choose to just immediately take Constantinople, switching its culture to Greek and its religion to Eastern Orthodox. Funnily enough, it's actually converted to Hellenic because we've been using propagate trade in most of Europe to convert places to Hellenic just for fun. And the Ottomans, because they're Muslim, don't tend to convert provinces back. But we'll take Rome. Well, we'll take Constantinople. It is gloriously back under our control. This will give us access to the Greek fire we left behind all those years ago. Unsurprisingly, our Greek friends aren't too happy about our conversion to a new religion, and so we'll need to integrate them much like we had to integrate the natives back in America. Until we do, they're going to receive this culture shock modifier, which makes them all rather unhappy. I'm sure we can overcome it though. Since we've discovered Greek fire, we now have access to this indiscriminate bombardment government reform. It makes our artillery very good at sieging down forts, but it damages the fort and makes it very easy to capture for anyone else once we do it. It's kind of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it makes it quite easy to take forts. On the other hand, it makes it so the enemy can retake them quite easily as well. Which makes me a little, not keen on it, as it can kind of lead to bouncing back and forth, taking forts, then having to retake them because the enemy liberates them almost immediately. It can be good though, maybe not in these big wars where we're fighting lots of people across a very vast territory. I'm actually surprised at how well our allies/vassals have been doing. We haven't actually lost that many battles. We're actually winning on the battlefront, and we may be able to achieve our show superiority goal. Let's look at the peace deal. We're actually crushing the Ottoman Navy, I almost didn't notice. It looks like we're going to have to siege down Rhodes though, because it's an island, maybe Cyprus as well, which is a bit annoying. That's why I'm moving my navy over here to Europe. One of our friends has already occupied Africa here, or Egypt, so we can use the progress they made as a stepping stone, bringing our navy over and occupying Rhodes and Cyprus. Luckily the forts in Rhodes and on Cyprus aren't very good, they're only level 2 ones, that being the default castle, so it shouldn't take much of an investment in soldiers to occupy them. There's Rhodes and Cyprus taken, now we just need the war score. Where's the Ottoman new capital at? Ah, it's over here. If we just head on and occupy that, that should be maybe enough to convince the Ottomans that, they can't actually win this conflict. But to be fair, who can convince the Ottomans of anything? They're one of those nations. There we go, let's just make sure... Ooh, wait a minute. This province... For some reason the AI gives the province over to my colonial nations. Yeah, we'll still need to fight a little bit more. We're close though. A single tick, or 1 or 2 points, should push us over the line. And there we go, over the line oh, there's another one. Another location that was being handed to one of our vassals when it should be handed to us. So we'll need to again fight a little more. We're still very close though. And actually I think we're done. There we go. We'll liberate all of the Greek land, giving us the Liberator of Hellas modifier until the end of the game, and allowing us to complete the A New Hope mission, giving us permaclaims on the Balkans and Anatolia. We've released our Exarchate of Constantinia here to govern our land in Greece, the Balkans and Anatolia. We've also released the Gothic people as their own nation. I believe they can govern the Pontic Steppes, that's where this Exarchate is for. Now, what should be our next move? Spain is actually at war with France, aren't they? Yeah, they're at war with Switzerland, France, Bohemia, Ulm. Who declared the war? It was Spain. Spain was being attacked by Switzerland. How curious. So maybe it's time we get involved then. Austria's not willing to join to defend Spain. They've only got Tuscany and Augsburg to defend them. They are quite strong though, and the thing is, of course, as always, reaching them. I doubt the Ottomans would give us access, and a lot of our army is black flagged. I guess we could just go down to Africa and then Maybe march up. I doubt the British would give us access though. Maybe they'd give the Spanish access though. Actually, they've rivaled them, so probably not. I suppose what we could do is we could just island hop, land in Sicily, land in Sardinia, and then land in Spain. That's an option. I think that's actually what we'll do. We'll bring over all of our armies over to Greece in preparation. We do still need to get 19 more provinces in Elysium to have 25 development. There's also 2 nations left here to conquer. These 2 here are vassals, so we don't need to consider them. And this blue one is actually my vassal, so I can just integrate them whenever I feel like. And then of course there's Vinland and Spartania, but they're both vassals that I can integrate. I'm not sure if we'll manage to integrate them before the end of the game though. It's going to cost 1,786 dip to annex Vinland. It's going to take 3,000 to annex Spartania. One of the reasons I was stacking the integration modifiers. Let's actually do a quick look. Is there anyone we could dev to get us over the limit? So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. If we deved all these provinces, that would push us over the line. I'm not sure if we could though. Well, I mean, we can. It's whether it'll be too expensive on the dev. Let's actually switch out one of our reforms. We've currently got encourage cash crops, which reduces the development in territory that isn't cash crops. Let's switch that out just for a moment. Now let's dev. We're going to fall a little short. Almost though. It shouldn't take long for us to get the points to do that bit of deving. Now we're only 10 off having enough to complete this mission. But I think we are going to attack Spain, but not this episode. We'll leave it here. I guess the next episode may be the last one. We'll see how much I can achieve before the end of the game. I'm a little disappointed. I remember being able to complete the whole mission tree a lot earlier. I think I was a little too slow when it came to subjugating Asian nations. I remember being able to do it much faster and being able to much faster invade Europe. Oh well though, that's how it goes. But either way, I'll thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.